Good morning. This is Jared Gray with my co-host Jordan Rains and the Dynasty Chef Steve for the IDP Hour with Full Time C Podcast Network. Sorry, guys, I blanked out for a second. How you guys doing?
Good, yeah.
Good
It's
morning.
early in the morning, so that it happens. Doing good.
Doing great. Yep.
So season's over. We had first postseason games, and we're going to talk about our MVPs for each position, uh, linebackers, edge rushers, and defensive backs. Uh, I can tell you this will probably be a little debatable for all of us, and that's what it's about. It's have some fun and goofing around here. So I guess we can get straight to it. I think we'll go with biggest surprises too at the end. Um, but let's hit off. If you get defensive back, Steve Jordan, what you guys going with defensive back for your MVP?
I'm gonna take Eric Reed on this one. He had a great season. It was his first full season with the Panthers, obviously, because nobody really wanted him there for a little while. But he finished the season off, you know, kind of with a bang there towards the end. I mean, he was racking up the tackles. What do you what do you end the season with here? Over 100. I think he was one of 3 or 4 defensive backs that had over 100. I know
He had 97 solos.
33 assists.
So that's even more I thought. So that's 130 total tackles, 7 tackles for loss. And this is a guy that I don't even really remember seeing drafted in several leagues that I was in, even some of the bigger ones, redraft wise. I know people obviously picked him up on waivers. Um, and it's a combination of things, It's the Colin Kaepernick effect, it's the Carolina Panthers effect. Um, but wow, he came out and he blew every previous number he had off the board and finished at the top, 5 defensive back in most leagues. So for me, he was kind of a far and away. I kind of wondered about Tracy Walker, but we talked before the show, like when Jared brought up, he got hurt, so towards the end of the season, while he did do big things for you early, as the season came on towards the end when you really, really needed him, he wasn't there. So that definitely affected how we had.
Yeah, I'm with you on Tracy Walker. I mean, he was probably top 5 biggest surprises because you just didn't expect it out of him. Nobody really knew about Tracy Walker, and then he just blows up, in the very beginning. And if he'd have stayed healthy, and especially with the trades and stuff they made, and as much as they were on the field, yeah, he's definitely a guy that you're selling high to keep, over the next, in your dynasty for sure.
Yeah, he's young. He's got a lot of upside, but if he would have finished out the season, he probably would have gotten that vote for me. But unfortunately, he just couldn't hold it together. Eric Reed did. What do you guys think about Eric Reed next year with a new head coach coming in and all that? You think that's going to have any big effect on how he's used, how he plays, or he's only
I mean,
27, so you like that?
that's a great question. I mean, the thing is I don't see a whole lot of change from him. Even in the last game that they had, or last couple games he played in with the new coach, he still had a good season. Just a good couple games there where you really pushed him over the top, I would say, for you. Um, he's definitely a guy that I think I'm keeping for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a stud. He's been a stud since he's been in the league.
Yep.
Him taking the time off he took because, whatever happened, with taking a knee, and honestly, it might have been good for him. Let's take a year to get healthy. And did he fully balled out this year? So, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He's solid to me. What do you think, Steve?
Oh yeah, totally. He's definitely got to keep. I don't think the defense is going to change all that much.
Yeah, overall they're pretty solid.
And
I think they're going to need to get another linebacker between Shaq and Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly really fell off at the end. So,
Yeah.
talk about somebody you bought high on.
Yeah, you paid up for Kuechly, that's for sure. He's
So-
not going to be an MVP. So that's my fantasy MVP for defensive back. Steve and Jared will share theirs, but real quick, I want to say, guys, go follow us on Instagram. Go follow us on our social medias at Jared Gray. They're right here if you're watching on YouTube at 50 Shades of Drunk. And Steve's is at The Dynasty Chef. We post all the time. We're always talking with the IDP Army guys on there, posting full-time fantasy stuff. So keep up with that. Yeah, just wanted to give the socials a plug early so we don't forget. So anyway, sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
So who wants to go next with their defensive back MVP for the season?
This was for me. This was a little tough because you and me have been preaching Buda Baker like crazy, right? And I would say with everybody leaving and everything that happened, and he just had such a big year, but I really just want to go towards Logan Ryan. I mean, it's tough for me. Okay, so 73 tackles, 40 assists, 7 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, 18 pass defended, 4 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles. Wow, I can't even talk today. And then you've got Buda Baker, 104 tackles, solo, 43 assists, 9 tackles for loss, only a half a sack. Really, I'm going to give him a sack because it really should have been a sack. 2 quarterback hits, 6 pass defense compared to 18, no interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. So for me, a player that finished in the top 5 in almost every category, somebody that nobody really went after and really just blew up, is Logan Ryan. He's my defensive back MVP this year.
I like it. I like it a lot. I got him on waiver wire in 2 or 3 leagues that I'm in. On that one league that I ended up winning, the IDP Experts League, quote unquote. I had him. I picked him up on waivers after like week 2 or 3.
That's crazy.
And I remember early in the season too, like he was balled out. I mean, he balled out from beginning to end. And early on, it was kind of waved off. We all kind of hand waved it like, yeah, he's just a guy doing some stuff, no big deal. But he kept doing some stuff, and it was a really big deal.
Yeah.
So I think.
Yeah, I mean, 18 pass defended.
It's
kind of bonkers, dude.
And you see Steve sitting there real uncomfortable. That's because last night Logan Ryan took Tom Brady's soul into the end zone for
He did, bro. Talk about capping off your season, bro.
Talk about just capping off like just a great everything about that was incredible.
All good things come to an end.
Yeah,
we had
years of dominance.
Listen,
Patriots. I almost
not 1 but 2 dynasties. Okay. How many dynasties have your guys' teams had?
Whoa.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying.
Like you can't say that to me.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
I literally rock Tom Brady every week behind me.
That's right.
So you can't even.
Well, yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, I'm just saying.
So I think Logan Ryan.
Saying that to everybody out there.
I think that was a great pick.
All the Patriot haters. I've seen a lot of them out there.
Yeah, not as many as there are Patriots fans.
People hate the Patriots because they were good. It's just like Alabama. People hate Bama because they're good.
That's right.
Yeah. We're the best.
I'm a Bama hater, by the way.
Had to throw that in there, throw a little shade out. But Logan Ryan, he had a great game last night. He basically ensured that they were going to win. So it was funny because I know we're circling back to this game, but you're so used to seeing like these moments happen where it's like, oh no, Tom Brady's down. And he's got a minute and 20 seconds, or oh no, and it's just like you're like, well, they're going to win. I mean, you're just so used to it. But like he's
the GOAT, so that's what you think. Like, I mean,
I wasn't thinking that last night.
Was the first game where I really, really, really saw how Vrabel's a great coach. Like, I remember when he was playing with the clock there for a little while.
Oh my God.
I just remember being like, is this really gonna make that big of a difference? But I could tell the thing that told me that it would is how Bill Belichick responded. When he started freaking out, I was like, oh shit. Like this is like some Jedi Master stuff right now.
Mhm.
I'm like paying attention. And then when they got the ball back,
Dude, I mean, think about it though.
I
That's some
looked at-
Padawan stuff right there.
yeah, I looked at the clock and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like there's only like 20 seconds on this clock. And
No,
oh
he
my
out
gosh,
Sith
they're at
Lord the Sith
and then
Lord.
they went to the 1 yard line. Oh my gosh. I was no timeouts. I just looked at it. I was like, this is, I mean, they set the chessboard up. I mean, now all they got to do is just do 1-2 things and it's over. And woo. Anyway, great game.
What got me was when they punted on the 4th and 3 instead of going for it.
Field goal.
Yeah. I mean,
Patriots dynasty's over, Steve. Suck it.
they should have gone for it.
All right.
That's what they said when the Giants beat the Patriots too, but they won
Yeah,
a few more after
okay,
that. So.
yeah. So say
All
what
right.
you got to say. We'll be back.
Who you gonna?
Okay, so who's your
defensive
defensive
No,
back MVP?
Okay, I went back and forth between Logan Ryan and Buda Baker, but I was thinking about last night and that pick 6, and I went ahead and picked Logan Ryan. That right there was the icing, seeing that. And just, I mean, he was unreal this year.
Agreed.
He really was. It's just crazy to me.
He didn't cost you a damn thing.
18 pass defended.
Picked him right up
I
off
think
the
I might
waivers.
surprise you guys on my linebacker after really looking back.
Yeah? Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and why don't we go with
We're
linebacker
gonna
next?
get to
Linebackers next, eh?
Yeah, we should do linebackers next.
So this is a tough one for me. When we were discussing prior to the show, where not certain players should be considered edge rushers and or just linebackers, because that's the difference in a big deal between who I think Jordan's linebacker is going to be. Who the biggest shock for everybody is Jordan's. You know how well he did, considered nobody, not a soul drafted him, right?
Yeah.
So Jordan, who's your linebacker?
Okay, my linebacker MVP for the season, and again, I'm going to say I'm kind of using the sleeper designation metrics as my metrics. I know all offseason I did put Barrett and TJ Watt into my edge rusher rankings, but that's what I believe that they should be. So I'm trying to like build this narrative, and hopefully, people will notice and other people like agree because they should be. But on ESPN, all these guys would be edge rushers, but on sleeper, I'm going to stick with what they have, and my fantasy MVP for linebacker is going to be Shaq Barrett. He had a great season, came out of nowhere, cost you nothing.
Free.
That's the first thing. He didn't cost you anything. A lot of people were kind of like thinking maybe Carl Nassib would be the guy there to have. He wasn't. It was Shaq Barrett. He didn't cost anything. He ended the season in IDP 1-2-3 scoring as the number 2 scoring linebacker. And I mean, the dude led the league in sacks. I mean, 19.5 sacks. Now, think about this. If Von Miller had done that, or DeMarcus Lawrence had done that, or Joey Bosa had done that, or Jadeveon Clowney had done that, they would 100% be Defensive Player of the Year. And they would 100% be first-team All-Pro. This guy didn't even he made second-team All-Pro. And it doesn't look like they're going to give him the Defensive Player of the Year. Kind of looking at the All-Pro voting as kind of a measuring stick. So that's unfortunate that the guys, some of this stuff does come down to brand equity. Like, who are you before you do this? And he wasn't anybody before this season. But, I mean, he's a top 7, top 8 rated on PFF pass rushing grade on the season, behind only some of these elite guys like Danielle Hunter, TJ Watt, Joey Bosa. So, I mean, he was performing at a level that these guys were performing at too. It wasn't like he just got lucky all the time. So, for a guy that cost you nothing, for a guy that had 19.5 sacks on the season, caused a ton of forced fumbles early in the season too. So this guy, maybe you missed him week 1, but if you did pick him up week 2 and plugged him in, I mean, you basically almost for sure secured a playoff spot in those first 5-6 games because of what the damage he was doing. So Shaq Barrett, linebacker, Tampa Bay Bucks, edge rusher, hopefully in the future. But he is my fantasy MVP for the linebacker position. It was between him and Jordan Hicks for me. Hicks was another guy that just kind of wrecked people's faces. He did it in a little bit different way, just having huge tackle numbers all season. But you guys know I like the big play guys, so I went with Barrett. And because Barrett's not going to get hardly any love anywhere else, so motherfucker, I'm going to show him some love.
Definitely.
There you go.
And there's our explicit.
Yeah,
Tag.
adult content.
We got you. Well, for me, I agree with you. If you're putting Shaq Barrett as the linebacker, literally we just talked about this. I would say either 99 or 100% of people did not draft Shaq Barrett.
Mm-mm.
However, we've plugged this from the beginning. The biggest person who deserves credit for Shaq Barrett is who?
Ndamukong Suh.
Ndamukong Suh.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Donald dropped off because Ndamukong Suh left. Shaq Barrett benefited because Ndamukong Suh showed up. 20 sacks this year for Shaq Barrett, 20 sacks last year for our man Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something that I look at.
He had a better pass rush grade than Cameron Jordan, than Nick Bosa, than Khalil Mack, than Jadeveon Clowney, than DeMarcus Lawrence. Those are some big names in pass rush land.
So is he our MVP for D lineman?
Well, I'm just
Ndamukong Suh?
I
I mean, look what he's done.
He's the MVP. He's Pippen, bro. I mean, he can get a ring.
I mean, here's the thing is,
we'll talk about him.
and that's the only reason Shaq Barrett didn't win it for me, is because I look at him benefiting because of another player. And it's a team game, 100%. Right, I get that.
We saw that last night.
Look how valuable Suh is.
So valuable.
He got paid like he was valuable.
And he should. And they better re-sign him something serious, because he obviously benefits that defensive line, and they're young too. They got Vita Vea there. JPP came back last 5 games of the season or something. So
all eight fingers.
Yeah. So I mean that's where I see that one. Shaq Barrett was the biggest surprise for anybody, and I'm 100% with you.
I like that he was a surprise too, because like nobody can really take credit for him. I'm just paying attention to like who's giving him the credit he deserves. That's my thing right now, and a lot of people are. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying go draft him with your
right. Give him the credit he deserves, but give Suh his due.
Yeah. So anyway, Jared, who you got for us for the linebacker?
Okay, so I had this basically talk with somebody prior to the season, and I made a small wager, and Brandon will see this eventually, that I said Corey Littleton would beat Darius Leonard. Okay, this is a sidebar, by the way, because neither one of them are my MVP. However, Darius Leonard played 13 games,
right,
with 71 solos and 50 assists. 50 assists in 13 games. Okay, 9 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 7 pass defenses, and 5 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a touchdown in 13 games. Talk about coming back from concussion and going bonkers. This dude did it. Right? I mean, he played less games than any person in the top 30.
Yeah.
And finished as a top 10 player. So
it's because of those home run games too.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's what he gives you. You know, I mean, he honest to God, for me, should have won the MVP last year. Completely robbed. I'm sorry. He was the best player in football last year. And got no love because he was a rookie. Okay, that's my sidebar.
Next year ought to be pretty.
My debate was I'm the same as you. Okay. Now, biggest players, two players who most people didn't draft, or if you did, you took a flyer, was Jordan Hicks. Right? Number 2 for me is Demario Davis. And I really went far on this because I think pass deflections, especially as a linebacker, are huge. Right? 12 pass deflections for Demario Davis.
Huge.
87 tackles. Nobody gave anybody from the Saints love beginning of the season, including us in the beginning.
No, yeah, we kind of did. We were kind of a little bit in on Von Bell, but we were also still like we
Oh
want to
yeah,
see.
we were definitely in on Von Bell from the beginning. But I mean, the linebackers, we're like, well, who's gonna step up?
Hmm.
Kiko Alonso's coming in. Is he gonna play it all? We didn't believe he was. Nobody plus Eric Klein. We expect, we want to see Demaro Davis. He's good people. He's part of the Army. He retweets us quite a bit. So, he likes a lot of our stuff.
He's
So he gets
balling.
love for that. And nobody expected that out of Demaro Davis. But when Jordan Hicks got traded, everybody's like, oh, Jordan Hicks was just a coverage linebacker. What's he really going to do? So for me, 92 tackles, 57 solo, 13 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, it was 1.5, but 2 sacks, 6 pass defenses, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. Jordan Hicks is my MVP for linebacker. And it's tough for me but when it came down to it, Jordan Hicks and Chandler Jones was another one for me. But Chandler Jones is, in my destination, is a full-on edge rusher.
Yeah, I think Jordan Hicks is a great pick there. I struggle with that one too. I mean, we know that.
And we talked about it 2 weeks before the season. Joe
Mhm,
Schobert could have won it.
yeah,
2 weeks before the end of the season.
true. Yeah, he was definitely. They were both kind of guys, but more so Hicks that were just being drafted. In that late linebacker area. Sorry, there's a fly in here. But that late, I mean 24 to 30 area sometimes. Schobert a little bit higher, but Hicks has definitely fallen, and people would walk by him round after round after round if they already had like 2 or 3 linebackers, and if they would have snagged him, I mean they would have ended up stacked. So he had a phenomenal season. A lot of that came from the Cardinals' defense being on the field a lot, and there was just not really anybody else there. I mean, they kept playing with Hassan Reddick a little bit, this Joe Walker guy. I mean, they kept switching that around, but it was pretty much Hicks, Buda Baker, and Chandler Jones got all the IDP stats on that team. And if you had one of them, I mean, they all three finished top 3 to 5 at their position respectively. So
Yep.
I think that was a good pick. And Jordan Hicks moving forward, I mean, he'll probably still be cheap next year, honestly.
I don't know. I think people start really buying him, to be honest with you.
Well, we'll see. I agree with you. I think if there's time to buy in, now is because he's only going to get more expensive if he does it again. So.
Yep.
Steve, who you got for the linebacker?
Okay, I am going with Shaq Barrett. I'm gonna agree with you on this one, Jordan. He came out of nowhere, and I think it was a product of what Sue did. He did, he did contribute a lot to what Barrett did on the field. Barrett did. I mean, what he did was unreal. I mean,
He was,
Yeah.
man. He was unreal. And
19 and a half
100% of people didn't
sacks.
draft him.
Yep,
So,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like I said, if you put those stats on anybody else in the league
Hmm.
that has any sort of shine on their name,
Right, there would have been.
they're a lock first team All Pro, and they're a lock defensive player of the year. But
here's the facts. It's almost the same stats as Aaron Donald had last year. Aaron
Right.
Donald was first team All Pro and
Mhm.
considered the top player in all of football last year.
and
But I just
Jack Barrett's the second team.
this is a different conversation, but it's worth having. I mean, it shows you what brand equity does. I mean, he plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who
hmm
quote unquote suck, and Winston sucks, and they can't win.
the passing leader.
Yeah,
This year's passing leader.
So he sits
Also an
there
interception
on this
leader.
team,
Yeah.
that doesn't win, but has all these negative things around it. And also, he doesn't have like a big social media presence from watching or anything. So that's a lot to overcome. Whereas Aaron Donald, what's he do? He posts videos of himself shirtless. He posts videos of himself working out. He lives in LA. He works for the Rams, who have, already been getting shined the hell up the past 3-4 seasons because there's been a lot of money involved in dumping it in the Rams. So I mean, it just shows you that like
The Rams are terrible
I listen
too.
to other podcasts and watch other stuff, but it's like brand equity as a human being means so much. And it's like apples aren't just apples. Like, like you said, those
No.
numbers, you dump those numbers on DeMarcus Lawrence. And I mean, the DeMarcus Lawrence circle jerk right now would be unstoppable, but it's Shaq Barrett. So
But
unfortunately,
Marcus Lawrence didn't do well this year, did he?
I know, but we won't talk about that. Anyway, I just think it's
Neither did the Cowboys.
It's fascinating look at like how our culture finds value and how we perceive things and how narratives are driven by more than what necessarily it's supposed to be driven by. Anyway, that was a little deep conversation, but again,
No,
Shaq
it's all good. It's all part of the
Barrett,
conversation.
if he somehow did win Defensive Player of the Year, I mean, that would be awesome.
That'd be crazy.
But
He's not going to, but
I don't think any of us three are fooled. I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win? Honestly,
I think TJ Watt will win. I think you saw what they did. You saw them last night. I mean, they flashed up to TJ Watt. They're looking at the Watt brothers. That's brand equity. They're Watt.
Yeah.
They can put up 0.75% of the stats of the best guy, and they're still going to win because. I mean, TJ Watt, I follow him on Twitter. I saw as soon as they showed the
You think TJ Watt?
I was like, that motherfucker's tweeting, and I looked. He had like almost 10,000 likes in 30 seconds. Like that. That's what the NFL wants. They want that guy to be their Defensive Player of the Year. That's brand equity.
Here's my problem with that, and I agree with you,
Mm-hmm.
but here's why it's not going to happen. They didn't make the playoffs.
Ooh, that's true.
So who is going to be Defensive Player of the Year? Somebody, Cameron Jordan? Just because he's in the play, or Danielle Hunter?
And that's
If we're basing it off
honestly,
playoff
that's probably
equity,
what's going to be.
Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I think.
I agree with you. 100% agree with you. TJ Watt full on deserves it. We talked about we have posted our own stuff, on Twitter. TJ Watt deserves it, right? Just like the Rookie of the Year, who we'll talk about at the end, deserves it, but they didn't make the playoffs. So, but Rookie of the Year completely different because obviously the Giants didn't make the playoffs last year, and the Rookie MVP last year was Saquon Barkley. So, Derwin James, they made the playoffs last year. He was the Rookie MVP, and there's no way he outbeats Leonard.
Yeah,
Leonard deserved the MVP of the NFL last year. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, he had a historically good
because
season.
Aaron Donald is a name. Aaron Donald gets it. Darius Leonard was the best player in football last year.
You're right. I mean,
Darius Leonard played 13 games this year and finished top 5. So,
I agree with you, 100%. But I mean, again, it just shows you the little things you do not on the field matter too. Post more shirtless pictures of you working out, bro. Maybe you'll
definitely.
Maybe Darius Leonard should. He's good. He just sits behind in the background.
All right, let's get to this last final position, defensive line, edge rusher, defensive end. It can be a D tackle. It can be whoever the hell you want, whose job is to rush the passer and get you some sacks. So I'll just start since I'm already just yapping away over here. My defensive MVP, IDP MVP for the DL or edge position is Zadarius Smith, another guy whose name doesn't carry enough brand equity to get him into the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, but had an outstanding season for this guy. He came up to Green Bay from the the Ravens, and he had 41 solos this year, 14 assists. I'm sorry, guys. 18 and a half tackles for loss, 13 and a half sacks, 37 quarterback hits. 37 quarterback hits. That's the same number as we were just talking about, Shaq Barrett. Didn't do quite as much on the extras, only one forced fumble on the season, but still, he had a ton of pressures on top of this. Total playmaker. And he's another guy that in IDP leagues, I mean, you got very, very cheaply if you drafted him at all. I almost wrote something about him last summer when I was kind of doing like just starting out writing a little bit. And he was one of the guys I was going to highlight as somebody that might make noise this season because he kind of did a little bit in Baltimore last year, but he rotated out a lot. he got to Green Bay and he didn't rotate out much. I mean, he was on the field all the time because he was one of the best players on the Packers. I mean, honestly, if you look at the best players on the Packers right now, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, and then, I mean, Aaron Jones in the conversation, but Zadarius Smith, I mean, he held his own across the whole league, not just, on the Packers. Crazy PFF numbers, if you're into that kind of stuff, one of the highest ranked defenders in the league this season, per their stats, one of the highest rated pass rushers, just a difference maker all around, and he made a difference in IDP leagues. The guys, I don't know if you guys remember your finals matchups, but Zadarius Smith was in 2 of the finals matches that I saw in my IDP leagues, so that tells you how far he got his owners. So that's who I'm going to take. My other guy who has kind of, well, I won't talk about anybody else. He was kind of my front runner, honestly. It was him, or I think Jared's going to take the guy who my other guy might have been. But what do you guys think about Zadarius Smith? I mean, you think?
I think he got snubbed.
Yeah, he got He didn't even make the All-Pro. He didn't
make the All-Pro at all. He got a serious snub this year.
Brand equity, guys.
Exactly.
But that's the thing is the Packers have a great brand equity.
No, and you're right.
And he was playing lights out all season long.
Packers fans too. I mean, they didn't notice. You know what I mean? They didn't notice till it was too late.
I don't know how you see. That's what I'm talking about, man. People don't see these defensive players out here.
Where did Blake Martinez finish in the All-Pro?
I don't think he made. I think he got second team All-Pro. I think.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: if Blake Martinez deserves to be there, so does Zadarius Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And this stuff isn't. And this is, All-Pro is actually supposed to be some sort of like.
It's a huge, you get a huge bonus for it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big deal to the players.
I feel bad for him, but I'm giving him shine here and now.
I feel like All-Pro is more important than Pro Bowl.
Well, it depends on how your contract is, but I mean, if the player's eyes, All-Pro matters a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But Zadarius Smith, my IDP MVP for the season at DL Edge. I feel bad for the guy not getting it, some more recognition in the league. But if he does it again next year, the Packers fans, I think next season they'll be ready. And these guys we both talked about move teams too. So you're a fan, but you don't, you're a Bucs fan. You don't know who Shaq Barrett is the first game of the week probably. You're a Packers fan. You're probably not paying attention to who they brought in Edge, unless you're a real diehard because everything's offense up there. So.
Well, I mean, it only takes a minute for you to study up on your team a little bit.
True.
So just take that extra minute. Care about your team a little more.
True. All right, Jared, give us that here.
All right, man. I think I already kind of gave him some shine a little bit ago, but he deserves it 100% in 15 games, not 16 games. Chandler Jones. It's not close to me. It's 41 solos, 12 assists, and then here's where the heater comes that we talk about. 19 and a half tackles for loss, 19 sacks for 140 sack yards, by the way. 28 quarterback hits, 5 pass defended, 8 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. Bro.
Yeah.
That dude is a savage.
Yeah.
Here's what another people don't even talk about. That's over 12 points average in little scoring. For us was what? Like 26 in IDP 1, 2, 3 leagues? 26 a game.
Yeah, he was balling.
He leads the league in points per game because he played 15. He merely edges TJ Watt, and TJ Watt played 16 games instead of 15 games.
It's interesting you bring them up like that too, because Chandler Jones was a lot more boom bust. I mean, he had games where he was getting 3 and 4 sacks. I mean, he was throwing down the gauntlet. But he had games where he was a little bit quieter, whereas TJ Watt, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, was
super consistent.
A sack a week. I mean, you knew you were going to get your 3 tackles, a sack a week, and a big play every other week. He had like 7 or 8 forced fumbles and 2 interceptions. So, I mean, he basically had a big play every other week, a sack every week, and 3 tackles, and you could basically pencil in a tackle for loss. So it's interesting. They both finished very high. You're looking at your Devontae Adams versus your Tyreek Hill here, or your Julian Edelman versus your I don't know.
But also, like we talked about this earlier in the day, who'd you pay more for, T.J. Watt or Chandler Jones?
That's interesting too. I wonder. That's a great question.
I would say you bought T.J. Watt higher.
Mhm.
Yeah, you probably bought him a little higher.
Right.
Just
To me,
a little
I
low.
didn't buy Chandler Jones as much more than T.J. Watt because you and me have been on the T.J. Watt train for literally long before the season started.
Yeah.
I
Unfortunately,
say he's the
still a
best Watt.
linebacker most places.
However, did you see how tall J.J. Watt is?
Yeah, he's.
I mean, when it came down to the end of the game yesterday, and they're doing the coin flip, and he's like 3 inches taller than
everybody.
Allen.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
ridiculous, bro.
I
He's a monster.
I love seeing guys that step out there, and you know the other person that they're standing next to is tall, but they just tower over them. It's crazy to see that.
Dude, he's huge.
You're like you're
Monster.
sitting there and you're like, I know that guy's like 6'7", but he is just like 4 inches taller than him. It's like, wow.
Yeah, so for me, in a landslide,
Mhm.
Chandler Jones for defensive end, my defensive lineman MVP. And don't get me wrong, there's some great ones, but you paid high for Danielle Hunter.
Mhm.
You know, he's one of the first ones taken off the board. T.J. Watt was taken pretty high.
Mhm.
Cameron Jordan was taken pretty high. Chandler Jones was in most, you know, in my keeper league, Chandler Jones was available in draft. T.J. Watt and Danielle Hunter, Cameron Jordan, none of them were available. None of them. So
Good.
that's just for me. What do you guys say?
I agree. I think
Mhm.
that was a great pick. You know, he finished IDP 123 as the top scorer for DL or edge, and by a good bit too. I mean, number 2 on that came in as Darius Smith. He had a full 60 points more than him. So that tells you those tackles for loss and those forced fumbles, you know, really make a difference.
Yep.
Great pick there.
You too. I mean, Darius Smith is a savage, dude. I mean, like I say, he got snubbed.
Maybe they both did. We're giving them shine here on the IDP Hour. IDP Army, we appreciate you guys. Just want to give a little shout out to the community. We got some big stuff going down, so hope you all are ready. Off season, we don't sleep. Well, we sleep a little, but not much. So,
All right, Steve, what's up? What about you?
It's Sue, right?
Well,
Uh,
did he win you a fantasy league?
well, sure. I picked up Barrett for free.
I mean,
Oh man, I don't know.
You gotta give him some love. I mean, he gave him some love.
No, I'm. It's tough, man. Because choosing between either. Well, I want to. Because I want to put Barrett in this category also.
Yeah, I can't though.
Yeah, I know.
Barrett was your linebacker.
I know.
So.
I think I'm gonna go with Jones here.
Chandler as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Because like I said, you said on
IDP 1 2 3,
mm-hmm.
and that's what I really looked at. So
because you were able to start these guys in multiple positions, so you were able to, if you had Jones and Barrett, you could start. You could start Jones
like
in your
IDP 1 2 3 league.
Mm-hmm.
Chandler Jones finished 60 points ahead in one less game. That means if he hits his average, which is what his average was in our league, is over 26 points.
Yeah.
Bro, are you kidding me?
Yep.
He'd have finished 90 points ahead.
And like you said, he just didn't get anywhere near as much respect as, a Danielle Hunter got, but he gave you Danielle Hunter plus, so he was definitely a guy that I saw. I mean, he was on my championship. Was he on my championship team? I think he was on. I think he was on one of my championship teams. If I remember,
he was on one of my championship teams. I had Chandler Jones in every league though,
and he was on another
championship. Tell you that.
He was on another championship league for one of my IDP dynasties that I didn't win, but that last week when he came up with all those sacks and all those forced fumbles, that's exactly what.
Okay, so got a little bit left. Who is your rookie MVP? I mean, I already posted mine, so
Rookie MVP. Well, there's a couple of guys it could be, in my opinion. I mean, it could be Max Crosby. I think that's who you ended up picking. It could be.
That's the guy, dude. Are you
I
kidding
thought
me?
you were going to pick. Yeah,
It could be Nick Bosa. It could be.
it could be, but it's not.
Or
Like I said, I
it could be a guy like
between the two of them.
It could be a guy like a Devin White who came on strong at the end of the season, basically.
I thought Devin White did
Real
really
strong.
good in the last half of the season. There.
Oh yeah, he definitely did.
So Devin Bush looked really good the first half, but then I don't know what happened.
Yeah, something happened. They stopped playing him as much, and he stopped performing as well. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's kind of weird how that happened. But I think mine is probably going to be Max Crosby. You got him so cheap. I mean, he was on every waiver wire I saw, basically, except for my giant dynasty. You paid nothing for him. I mean, and he ended up as a top 20. He ended up as a top 12 defensive end in IDP 1-2-3 scoring with 220 points. He had 10 sacks. Jared posts a piece of content.
10 sacks, 47 combined tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles,
and he was a
4 pass deflections.
4th round pick, 3rd, 4th, 5th.
4th rounder.
And this is the guy playing opposite of their number 2 overall pick. Clelin Ferrell.
He was the number 4 overall pick, right?
Number 4. So this guy, Clelin Ferrell didn't even show up on the radar. He had a week right in the middle of the season where you could play him and you were happy about it. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll develop into something, but Max Crosby, bang for your buck all day, both in real life and in fantasy. So I agree with Jared on this one. I think Max Crosby was the guy. He didn't cost you anything in startup drafts. He didn't cost you anything in a regular draft. And he ended up as a top 12 defensive end or edge or DL, whatever you want to call him. So I'm game. I'm in.
I'm with you. Max Crosby is the guy. But like you said, you brought up Devin White. I got to sneeze here in a second. It's going to happen. Sorry. I knew it was coming. Devin White, 13 games, 58 solos, 33 assists, 4.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. 5 pass defended, or no, 3 pass defended, an interception, 3 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries. Devin White definitely came up strong.
And you have to think too, he missed games early, so it wasn't.
13 games. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he just missed them. I mean, it happens to the best of us.
And I mean, like you said, Devin Bush, 16 games, right? 72 tackles, 37, 10 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, 5 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. Sorry, I just read somebody else's. I think I just read. Yep. So 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, 4 fumble recoveries, and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, and he came up big when you needed him. There were guys that got you to the playoffs, and there were guys that won you your playoffs. And you have to take all that into consideration when you think about these.
I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, there was a point when people were talking about how, we talked about on the show, Nick Bosa was the guy. He was the guy. He was the guy.
Yep, right in the middle of the season, he was the guy.
But at the time, Devin Bush was blowing him out. And I didn't really see it being a big deal. And then Devin Bush drops, and then Nick Bosa drops, and here comes Max Crosby screaming past both of them.
Yep.
Right. And if Devin White plays all 3 those 3 other games, he might be right there.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It's going to be.
He still finished as a top 35 player. Devin White did in 13 games.
Yeah, he did. That's nothing to shake a stick at.
So. That's the way I look at it. I mean, it's a big one. Von Bells was another guy we talked about a little bit for players that didn't play every game this season, still played really well. But for me, it's Max Crosby as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. Great pick.
I mean, so I'm going to give you a comparison. Nick Bosa had 9 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 47 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, which is huge, 2 pass deflections and an interception. Max Crosby had 10 sacks, 47 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 4 and 4 forced fumbles, and 4 pass deflections. So that's ridiculous. So he had one more sack. He had one more forced fumble. He had 3 more forced fumbles. He had the same amount of tackles, but he had 4 pass deflections compared to 2. And one more tackle for loss, by the way.
That's White?
No, Max Crosby compared to Nick Bosa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Value all day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that we're doing some dynasty startup drafts. I know I am. I know it sounds crazy, but literally in the past week I've set up 2 and I've joined another one. So you guys are in one with me. We got the IDP Army guys. We're doing, we said this the other day, some of them on Twitter, we gave them shouts out. But we're setting up a dynasty league with us and some of our OG crew from this season. We love those guys and appreciate them. Shane, Russ, IDP is life, Kyle. I'm missing some of you guys, so if you're listening, don't get in your feelings. But we're definitely setting that up, and I'm gonna be sending those invites out soon. And I'm interested to see how early Jared takes Max Crosby.
Or doesn't take him.
I'm really excited about this draft because it's gonna be all sharks, and it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be vicious out there.
So much.
The waters are already chummed.
So it's funny we talked about it because I'm also doing a redraft in my dynasty league with my main league with Brandon. Haven't decided if I'm going to do it live with you guys. That way we can pick together because most of those guys listen to us. You know what I mean? So I can't be putting our strategy out there. So
I think our strategy is already out there, man.
We got to share. We got to help.
A complete redraft. So it'll be fun.
It is. I'm excited, especially for that league, just in the most general form, and some other ones that we're going to do. So
I'm excited about
posted on that.
See, people, it was funny. People are talking about, I'm so glad fantasy season's over. Let's start some new leagues.
I'm one of them. I can't wait.
All right, I think that's it for us for the day. Great show, guys. Good MVPs, and guess we'll be moving on to the next one.
Did we have any most valuable letdowns before we?
The most expensive letdown?
Yeah. Did anybody let you down? Like seriously?
Let everyone down.
Yeah. Well,
he cost a lot.
He lets.
The more and more I've been looking at him and DeMarcus Lawrence, I'm like, man, you had to pay up to get these guys.
Lawrence was a huge letdown.
And they're finishing like top.
I would say Deion Jones and Roquan Smith.
Oh yeah.
Jermaine Edmonds.
He never really hit home until that week he got hurt, and then it was like, here we go, But
he had a good week before.
Yep.
Yeah. And you ended up getting Kukowski out of it. He ended up being a great play off the waiver. Trevathan ended up being a great play early in the season. So we'll see where they come back next season. But anyway, like you said, good show, guys. This is the IDP Hour, part of Full Time Fantasy Podcast Network. We love you. We'll be taking, I think our shows will come every other week now for a while, maybe every week. We're still not 100% sure how it's going to shake out, but follow us on the socials. Keep up. Listen to our other podcasts, the IDP 411. And yeah, shout out IDP Army. Let's rock.
Let's go.